revenge.
The ambush happening as they sat in their car on the city's south side. Police confirming 3 persons of interest now being questioned, but the manhunt is still very active. The chilling sound of one officer's voice just moments after 2 cars drove up beside them, firing indiscriminately. Well, the police superintendent says they believe there were multiple shooters firing high-powered guns. One officer hit in the arm and the hip, the other in the back.
When police officers come to work every day, they put their lives on the line. And make no mistake about it, we're going to catch them. We are going to get these individuals responsible.
Well, the officers now said to be in good spirits with their families at their bedsides.
Well, police are bracing for riots today as the DOJ is expected to announce no federal charges against police officers in the fatal shooting of a black man. Alton Sterling was shot and killed by 2 Baton Rouge officers last July after he appeared to reach for a gun during a confrontation with police. Well, the officers responding to calls Sterling was threatening someone. His death sparking protests, you may remember, across Baton Rouge.
Meanwhile, in Washington, both Democrats and Republicans declaring victory ahead of this week's budget vote.
Well, the president also calling this a, quote, clear win, hours after threatening a government shutdown. Griff Jenkins is live for us from Washington, D.C. with the latest. Good morning, Griff.
Hey, good morning, Abby and Heather. A confident President Trump standing before the champion Air Force Academy football team declared victory on the bipartisan spending deal.
After years of partisan bickering and gridlock, this bill is a clear win for the American people.
But frustrated with reports of caving to Democrats who blocked priorities like funding for the border wall and stripping Planned Parenthood and sanctuary cities, rattled off a list of wins.
We brought lawmakers together from both sides of the aisle to deliver a budget that funds the rebuilding of the United States military, makes historic investments in border security, and provides health care for our minors and school choice for our disadvantaged children.
Earlier in the day, in a series of tweets, Trump threatened that a government shutdown in September, when the current spending bill will run out, might be just what Washington needs. Budget Director Mick Mulvaney driving that point home.
If you wanted to imagine what a good shutdown was, it would be one that fixes this town.
So what would the
that one that
say?
drives the message back home to people that it really was as broken as they thought that it was when they voted for Donald Trump, and they would trust him to, that's what it's necessary to do to fix Washington, D.C., that would be a good shutdown.
But Democrats like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer pushing back.
Bipartisanship is best summed up by the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want.
Ironically, or perhaps intentionally, Chuck Schumer's soundbite there, that Rolling Stones song was President Trump's campaign rally song. Those of us that covered it heard it 1,000 times or more. We expect this bill to be voted on and signed by the end of the week, guys.
I like it a little better, Griff, when you quote rock songs versus Chuck Schumer.
Can't always get what you want.
Thank you, Griff. Thanks.
Well, President Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin vowing to take on Syria and North Korea together. The 2 world leaders speaking on the phone for the first time since U.S. missiles blew up a Syrian airbase last month. Both now pledging to boost diplomatic efforts.
It was a very constructive call that the 2 presidents had. Very, very fulsome call, a lot of detailed exchanges. So we'll see where we go from here.
President Trump and Putin also agreed to face-to-face in July at the G20 summit in Germany.
The controversy over paying cold-blooded terrorists, some who have killed Americans, expected to take center stage at the White House today. President Trump will confront Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas face-to-face over payments to killers and their families for carrying out attacks. Well, some lawmakers claim those funds come from you, the American taxpayer. The meeting coming after Abbas reiterated his support for a 2-state solution between Israel and Palestine.
Well, the U.S. Air Force will conduct another long-range missile test this morning, marking the 2nd exercise in 1 week. This coming, of course, as tensions run high with North Korea. The unarmed, nuclear-capable missile will be fired from an airbase in California and is expected to splash down in the Pacific more than 4,000 miles offshore. On Friday, North Korea launched yet another ballistic missile, further escalating tensions in that region.
Well, a serious and imminent threat against Americans, the driving force behind the airplane electronics ban. House Homeland Security Chairman Mike McCall says the feds had specific and credible information about terror plots when they made the call in March. The ban on large electronics and carry-on luggage applies to certain flights from the Middle East and North Africa bound from the United States.
And now to a Fox Business alert for you. Airline executives hitting major turbulence during a blistering hearing on Capitol Hill.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here now to break it all down. Cheryl, good morning.
Well, good morning, ladies. Yeah, dare I say it, guys. Airline executives spent hours in turbulence yesterday on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers not mincing words and how they feel about the industry's treatment of the flying public.
Imagine almost 7 hours into a long flight and you get physically ripped out of your seat that you paid for, thrown off the plane, and you get your teeth knocked out.
People shouldn't be treated that way.
It's unbelievable to me that the pilot or the crew or anybody would have let that happen.
I hope you all know that this doesn't stop today, and you will be judged on how it is implemented.
Seize this opportunity, because if you don't, we're going to come, and you're not going to like it.
That was just a sampling. Well, a tidbit, of course, from yesterday's Transportation Infrastructure Committee hearing, where United CEO Oscar Munoz and executives from American, Alaska, and Southwest got that earful. Now, they were pressed on what is known as the Airline Contract of Carriage, which is in the ticket that you purchase. You just probably never read it. It outlines the reason that you can be denied travel, the airline's baggage rules, and, of course, why you can be refused boarding. But the length of the contract is something that lawmakers want changed. For example, I want to show you this. United's contract of carriage is 46 pages and over 37,000 words long. Alaska's 67 pages, over 37,000 words long. You can find it on the airline's website if you've got a free few hours or days to read it, maybe. I do want to say yesterday, though, guys, Alaska agreed to boil it down to one page. Southwest said that they're going to absolutely work to simplify their contract. American said it's already working on it. Of course, all of this, the backlash over the incidents on American Airlines and United, of course, guys.
And they wonder why we don't read it.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Always read that fine print, though.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Well, the Air Force Academy football team honored at the White House.
Yeah, this was exciting. President Trump presenting the team with the coveted Commander-in-Chief trophy for claiming victory over the Army and Navy.
The cadets here represent not only the future of our Air Force, but also the future of our country. Their skill, dedication, loyalty, and patriotism represent the very best of America.
Well, the team also presenting President Trump with his very own Falcons jersey. Love that. Good for them. A day they'll always remember.
Yeah.
Well, more spring showers on the way for the central and eastern U.S. as the Deep South braces for some wicked weather.
Yeah, senior meteorologist Janice Dean is here tracking the storm for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. Let's take a look at it. Yes, we've got some May storms on the way. You can see where the boundary is placed across the central U.S. We've got 40s and 30s north of the boundary and 70s. And even we've got 81 in Phoenix right now, 61 in Atlanta. And along that boundary, we're seeing the potential for not only severe storms, but heavy rainfall as well. So you can see it right here across the central plains, parts of Oklahoma, in towards Kansas and Missouri. And that's the area that we are concerned with flooding. So flood watches and warnings are in effect. We have flash flooding in effect as well. So all of these areas could see the potential for several inches of rain in a short period of time. The ground is already saturated, can't take any more moisture. Also, the severe threat, some of this Gulf moisture getting in on the action, the potential for large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes throughout the day today along the Gulf Coast from Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. There's your future radar. You can see that Gulf moisture being tapped here over the next couple of days, and then across the Ohio Valley, Tennessee River Valley, up towards the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast as we head into Friday. There's your GFS model precipitation again across the Ohio Valley, several inches of rain along the Gulf Coast too. So today, not too bad across the East Coast or the West Coast. It's the central U.S., and all of this moisture is going to move eastward. I'm looking ahead to the Kentucky Derby, ladies.
Yes. Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be wet and cool, and I'm off to the Kentucky Derby on Friday, so I don't like this weather.
It's that time again already.
Janice, you're going to have so much fun. I cannot wait to see what you're going to be wearing.
It is. Yeah. It's a bucket list. I got the hats yesterday.
Yeah, you'll be protected from the rain.
Yeah. Fancy.
fun.
Talk to you soon.
Love it. Thank you, Jen.
You went last year, right?
I did.
I went the day before, yeah. It was raining when I was there. It was still fun.
Oh, I got lucky, I guess, last year.
Sure did. Well, the time now is about 10 minutes after the top of the hour. And flying the friendly skies, it goes from bad to worse.
Someone help! This guy's crazy!
The onboard brawl creating turbulence before one plane even took off.
Ooh, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz taking aim at Bernie Sanders again. Why she says that he needs to mind his own business when it comes to Barack Obama.
And a perk sure to wake you up this morning. Dunkin' Donuts just announced its replacement to the coffee culotta and how you can get it for free.
Like that.
Those remarks in a rare public appearance in front of a large crowd. She took responsibility for her election loss before ultimately passing the blame.
I take absolute personal responsibility. I was the candidate. I was the person who was on the ballot. I was on the way to winning until the combination of Jim Comey's letter on October 28th and Russian WikiLeaks raised doubts in the minds of people who were inclined to vote for me but got scared off.
President Trump slamming Clinton for her statements, tweeting this: FBI Director Comey was the best thing that ever happened to Hillary Clinton in that he gave her a free pass for many bad deeds. The phony Trump-Russia story was an excuse used by the Democrats as justification for losing the election. Perhaps Trump just ran a great campaign. And a counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, also chiming in, tweeting this: you ignored Wisconsin, called us deplorable, irredeemable, had oodles of money and no message, lost to a better candidate. From a woman in the White House is how she signed that. And the failed candidate also says she's writing a book about her experience as the first female presidential candidate of a major party.
Were you a victim of misogyny? And why do you think you lost the majority of the white female vote?
Well, you know, the book's coming out in the fall.
But we're
just to give you a tiny little preview, yes, I do think it played a role.
Really plugging that book there. Clinton says she's now back to public life and part of the resistance. Heather, Abby.
All right. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Well, Clinton's new interview, meantime, same old blame game. You heard it there, leaving many to ask, why can't she just come to terms with reality?
Yeah, former Speaker Newt Gingrich and Washington Times columnist Charlie Hurt, they agree that this is so typical.
It's like watching a car wreck in slow motion. She can't come to grips with reality.
It was a perfectly Clintonian response, as you point out. She started by saying, I take personal responsibility for it, and then proceeded to blame absolutely everybody imaginable, including her gender, and even President Obama's 2 terms in office, which is particularly comical because, of course, I do think that President Obama deserves blame for the loss, but the problem was that she was running on his ideas, which after 8 years, people had gotten really sick and tired of.
Meanwhile, Debbie Wasserman Schultz coming out swinging, defending former President Obama for accepting $400,000 to give a Wall Street speech. The disgraced former DNC chairwoman telling critics, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, to back off.
It is none of anyone's business what someone who is a member of the private sector decides to accept in terms of compensation. You know, with all due respect to anyone who chooses to comment publicly on what Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or anyone earns as a member of the private sector, it's just like MYOB. It's none of your business.
Oof. Well, the Obamas are waiving a $600,000 speaking fee in Chicago, saying they'll be happy to update the community on plans for a library and a museum out of the kindness of their hearts.
Well, a bombshell report revealing the NSA granted a massive number of unmasking requests right before the Obama administration left office. Well, the agency uncovering nearly 2,000 identities caught up in foreign surveillance. The annual transparency report shedding light on the dramatic spike from 2015 when only 650 requests were granted. Compare that. Well, when asked, Obama's former national security advisor, Susan Rice, claimed that she was unaware of the accelerated pace.
Almost 20 minutes now after the hour, an outrage nationwide after Stephen Colbert crosses the line.
You have more people marching against you than cancer. The only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
Ooh, well, the new national campaign to get the comedian booted from The Late Show.
And some terrifying moments when a toddler, look at this, walking past a pond, suddenly disappears. The hero police officer who rushed to the rescue.
Hillary Clinton today said she is very aware of the shortfalls of her campaign that caused her to lose the election, specifically Short Falls, Michigan and Short Falls, Wisconsin.
Drew Dvorsny and Francesca Mattis were last seen leaving a bar. Was on April 25th. Their bodies found on a dirt road in a sugarcane field about 10 miles away. And Dvorsny enlisted in the Marines after 9/11 and served several tours in Iraq. He had been in Belize since December, and he was due to fly home to Atlanta on Friday.
Well, another violent plane confrontation, this time a brawl between two passengers. Two men seen throwing punches in front of a horrified passengers, as you can imagine, on a flight from Tokyo to Los Angeles.
Someone help! This guy's crazy!
The plane was still parked at the gate as flight attendants desperately try to break the fist fight. Nippon Airways says the man in the Hawaiian shirt who was drunk was removed from that flight and arrested.
Well, a brand new terrifying shark sighting. Take a look after an attack left a mother of 3 fighting for her life. Now, this latest was captured by a drone off the coast of California, less than a mile from where dozens of people were swimming. It was spotted a day after a woman was viciously mauled as people on the beach watched in horror. Now, the mother of 3 who lost part of her right leg remains in critical condition.
And lucky to be alive this morning, incredible video shows the moment that a stranded surfer is rescued after holding on to his board for 32 hours. Coast Guard officials searching the water for hours, eventually spotting the man 13 miles off the coast of Scotland after he was swept out to sea. Rescue crews then plucking the 22-year-old man from the cold, choppy waters. Authorities saying he was suffering from hypothermia, but his thick wetsuit might have saved his life.
Speaking of saving lives, heart-stopping body cam video showing the moment that an officer leaps into a lake to save a drowning toddler. Oh, you can hear him crying. Well, the Topeka, Kansas officer quickly pulling the little boy to safety. He was passing through the park when he noticed the boy alone. Well, we went in to check on him, and he noticed that he fell into the water. Police say that the boy, who has autism, wandered away from home, and the good news is he's doing okay this morning.
Frightening.
Scary.
The time's now 25 minutes after the hour, and Judgment Day for a Marine who used the story of a fallen brother to cash in on the free house. The stolen velour sure to make you clench your fists.
But first, on this day, back in 1802, Washington, D.C. was incorporated as a city. And in 1986, Willie Shoemaker became the oldest man to win the Kentucky Derby. Terrifying, the chilling sound. That was one of the officers, his voice, just moments after 2 cars drove up beside them and then just began firing indiscriminately. The police superintendent says that they believe there were multiple shooters firing high-powered guns. One officer hit in the arm and the hip, the other in the back.
When police officers come to work every day, they put their lives on the line. And make no mistake about it, we're going to catch them. We are going to get these individuals responsible.
Yes, they will. The officers are said to be in good spirits, though, and they're with their families at their bedsides. Meantime, the former police officer charged with the killing of an unarmed black man admitting guilt in federal court. Michael Slager says that he violated 50-year-old Walter Scott's civil rights when he shot him in the back 2 years ago. Scott was killed as he ran away from Slager during a traffic stop in South Carolina. His family now saying that their healing can finally begin. Slager's plea deal also clears him of pending murder charges after the state's case ended in a mistrial last year, if you remember that. He does face up to 25 years behind bars.
Stolen valor. A former soldier is headed to prison for pretending to be a dead comrade just to con his way into a free home and cash. Brandon Blackstone admitted to stealing the tragic story of Marine Casey Owens, who took his own life after losing his legs in Iraq. Well, he also used the story to convince a nonprofit that helps set up wounded veterans with mortgage-free homes. Blackstone was sentenced to 21 months behind bars in order to pay more than $300,000 in restitution. And a university safety official is suspended after the school is locked down for hours for a student carrying a glue gun. An investigation now underway at Colgate University after someone reported a black man with a gun on campus. Well, it turned out to be a student working on an art project. Colgate's president says they will review the role of implicit racial bias in the incident's reporting and response.
Well, both Democrats and Republicans declaring victory, go figure, ahead of this week's budget vote.
No, they wouldn't dare. Well, now Congress just has to vote on it before midnight on Friday. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, D.C. with the latest here. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. With the Air Force Academy football champions at his back, President Trump declared victory on the bipartisan spending deal.
After years of partisan bickering and gridlock, this bill is a clear win for the American people.
But frustrated with reports of caving to Democrats on funding for the border wall and failing to strip Planned Parenthood in sanctuary cities, he touted the accomplishments.
We brought lawmakers together from both sides of the aisle to deliver a budget that funds the rebuilding of the United States military, makes historic investments in border security, and provides health care for our minors and school choice for our disadvantaged children.
Earlier in the day, in a series of tweets, Trump threatened that a government shutdown in September, when the current spending bill will run out, might be just what Washington needs. Budget Director Mick Mulvaney enforcing the message.
Defense, border security, school choice. The president delivered on his promises and got his priorities funded, and that's what the Democrats don't want you to know.
But Democrats like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer pushing back.
Bipartisanship is best summed up by the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want.
Voting expected by the end of the week and the president to sign it. And just an observation, I wonder if Mick Jagger ever thought that his top song would become the campaign rally song for Donald Trump or the central theme for bipartisanship in Washington, D.C.
That's so funny.
One only wonders.
That must have been his plan the whole time writing that song.
Yeah. Who did the song Money, Money, Money? Who was that?
Ooh.
That would be a good one, too.
Good question.
Yeah.
Our viewers can let us know.
Thank you, Griff.
Thanks, Griff. Well, lawmakers, meantime, they are working hard to continue the massive VA overhaul. In just hours, the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee set to unveil a new bill that would speed up the appeals process for our vets. Right now, our heroes are forced to be in limbo for an average of 5 years if they challenge a decision within the agency. And the proposal would get rid of the outdated process, reducing the wait time to less than a year.
The military is looking to beef up its war dogs. The Special Operations Command is now calling on small businesses across the country to develop nutrients that will help canines. The goal is to have them perform for long hours under high stress. The nutrient also has to be cheap and easy to administer. Special Ops units rely on dogs to sniff out bombs and expose the enemy. To weather now, more spring showers for the central and eastern U.S. as the deep south braces for more wicked weather.
Yeah, meteorologist Janice Dean is in the Extreme Weather Center tracking the storm for us. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Let's take a look at it. We've got cooler than average temperatures above this frontal boundary, which is situated across the central U.S., and then warmer temperatures across the south. Along that boundary, that's where we're seeing these areas of low pressure develop, and we have one right now across the central plains. That's going to bring the potential for heavy rainfall, flooding rainfall. Flash flood watches and warnings are posted, and it's because we've had this persistent setup. These areas of low pressure ride the jet stream, a lot of Gulf moisture getting in on the action, and then they continue to move eastward. We get in on it through the week. Now, we were talking about the Kentucky Derby earlier today. Here's what the forecast says on Saturday. Looks like we could see some rain earlier in the day, a high of 60 degrees. Winds will be breezy, again, with a chance of showers. So Good thing I got my big hat ready. Your highs today across the nation. Again, warm across the south. The potential for severe weather over the Gulf Coast states, ladies, and then cooler than average across the northern tier of the country. But I cannot wait. I don't care if there's snow on the Derby. I can't wait to go. I'm so excited. It's like a bucket list for me.
Pack your rain boots, Janice. It can get muddy.
Are you going to play some bets?
Of course. Well, no. Am I allowed to say that on air?
Well, you already did.
Fun bets.
Right. Of course, I'll be looking at perhaps betting.
Yes, of course. We can't wait to see you there, Janice.
I'm excited.
Thanks,
so
Janice.
Okay. All right, the time is now 37 minutes after the hour, and Late Show host Stephen Colbert feeling the backlash after his monologue on President Trump had critics seething.
You have more people marching against you than cancer. The only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
Ooh, well, the trending call to have the comedian kicked off the show.
Plus, Berkeley is looking for new ways to keep their students a little more zen and keep them from rioting. But is the answer really blowing bubbles? Yes, you heard me correct.
No.
You told her she was being dumb.
No, I told her she was being not smart, which was dumb.
Stephen Colbert now at the center of a growing controversy for a foul-mouthed and scathing attack on President Trump.
Now, the comedian turning his Monday night monologue into an obscene response to the president's interview on CBS's Face the Nation, in which the president told host John Dickerson that it should be called Deface the Nation.
Mr. Trump, your presidency, I love your presidency. I call it disgrace the nation. He doesn't stand by anything except the dressing room door at Miss USA pageant. Let me read this presidential briefing. Yep, I got the president, I got the briefing right here. You attract more skinheads than free Rogaine. You have more people marching against you than cancer. The only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
Ooh. Well, Colbert says it was his duty to defend a fellow member of the CBS family. The network has not yet responded, but viewers are with the hashtag #FireColbert.
Well, for more on the backlash online against Stephen Colbert,
let's bring in Carly Shimkiz with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115. Wow, everyone is talking about this.
Man, oh man, yeah, that comment generating a ton of reaction on social media. Now, people online are angry for a few reasons. Some say the comment crossed the line in terms of disrespecting our president, and others are calling that remark homophobic. Now, that hashtag #FireColbert is still trending nationally on Twitter across the board, even into this morning. Let's get to some of those tweets. Mark says, I'm an advocate of free speech, but Colbert crossed the line. Time to go after his sponsors. And you could see he used that hashtag right there. And take a look at this from Clarissa, who says his remarks about our president were disgusting even for him. And then Daniel is chiming in with another tweet saying, unfunny show has now become a disgusting show, turning off CBS, #FireColbert. And then take a listen to what Karl Rove had to say about this on Fox News last night.
Continue to do what I do with anything Colbert. I'm going to refuse to watch the SOB.
Now, of course, Colbert's fans are sticking up for him, saying no matter how egregious or disgusting that remark is, he is still a comedian and he should not be censored.
Yeah, but can you imagine if that had been done to President Obama?
That role reversal would be very different. The outrage would be very different.
I grew up watching Letterman on my parents' floor every single night, and I just don't remember a moment like this.
There wasn't. They stayed away from politics back then. So maybe they should go back to that.
All right, what's going on at Harvard?
All right, well, Harvard University, they're getting rid of late fees on overdue library books because, get this, the stress of returning library books on time has become too mentally draining on students. So here's what a Harvard associate director said in the student newspaper. We have witnessed firsthand the stress that overdue fines can cause for students. Eliminating standard overdue fines and standardizing loan periods across Harvard's libraries should help students focus on their scholarship rather than worrying about renewing library books every 28 days in order to avoid fines. But you know what? A lot of other people are saying, is this really helping students? Because, you know, kids, when they enter the real world, are going to still have to pay things like, say, their bills.
Exactly.
Isn't that what college is supposed to do, prepare you for the real world?
Exactly. I can only imagine the look on my landlord's face if I said, I'm not going to pay my rent on time this month. Locked himself in the car door, but look at his face. He is cracking up. So through a series of unfortunate events, his mom locked the keys in the trunk. Then he locks all the car doors. Well, he's having a great time. Rescue workers, of course, came to his aid. A good time was had by all, or
guess what?
at least one.
He's going to do it again.
Yeah, and you know this picture.
How great it was.
Yeah, this picture is going to follow him for the rest of his life. It's definitely worth a frame.
That's a future NASCAR driver right there.
That's right. Yeah, don't get me out of this car.
That is adorable.
Thanks, Charlie.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Well, now let's check in with, I think we're going to check in with Brian Kilmeade.
Is he up? Is he dressed? There he is. Oh, he even has his jacket on for us.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm not breaking any stories. I'm not wearing my press hat either. So let me just tell you what we have on tap over the next 3 hours. We're going to be talking about Stephen Colbert and the blowback from the late night show, which is #1 in the ratings. Hillary Clinton blames everyone, really but herself, for her loss without giving credit to the current President of the United States. And Kevin Brady will be with us, Chairman of Ways and Means. He'll let us know the chances of Republicans getting a repeal and replace vote this week or even today. And look at the roster of guests. They include Tucker Carlson, Mick Mulvaney, who was stellar yesterday in his press conference, Rob O'Neill, and as I mentioned, the Texas congressman. We're also going to be talking about the compromise that wasn't really a compromise, or was it, with Democrats and Republicans? We're also going to find out why Abby was on her parents' floor watching late night television. Didn't they have any furniture in your house?
Good question. No, I really just preferred a blanket on the hard floor. There's something comforting about that.
You're a little different.
I know.
Thank
you like it,
Brian.
Yes.
See you soon.
Thanks. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
A little Hillary Duff to get your Wednesday started right. Look at that. The city already up and going this morning. The sun is up. It's going to be a beautiful day here. We are back with a scandal that will not go away. Conservative watchdog Judicial Watch releasing more than a dozen new emails between Hillary Clinton and her aide